And especially hope you've enjoyed the food, and that your enjoyment of the food doesn't put you to sleep. But welcome to an evening of music and story. And one of the stories begins just something like this. The auctioneer came to the last lot of the day. He picked up an old violin. Blowing the dust off it, he said, "What am I bid for this? Will somebody bid me £1? Will somebody bid me £1? Pound over there, that's good. Will somebody bid me £2? Will somebody bid me £2? Yes, £2 I see over there. Can we make 3? Can we make 3 for this dusty old violin? Would somebody make 3 for this dusty old violin?" And as the auctioneer looked at the violin and was about to blow the gavel down, an old, crooked, grey-haired man came through the audience from the back. Or Mansell did anyway. As the old man finished playing and the sonorous notes of the violin hung in the air, the auctioneer said, "Who will bid me for this old violin? 1,000? 1,000 over there, I hear. 2,000? 2,000 over there, I hear. 3,000 at the back. Going for 3,000. Going once, twice. Gone for £3,000. Somebody said, "Why? How did the violin become so expensive, so worth so much?" And a wise voice simply said, "It was the touch of a master's hand that made the violin worth so much." The touch of a master's hand. I welcome Mansell Morgan. Thank you, Mansell.
Good evening. Good evening. So as you know, my name is Mansell. I have a wife, Tracy. She would be here, but she's doing family business, being a taxi service. Some of you all know what that's like. I have 3 boys, Samuel, Jonathan and Joshua. I was born at a young age, and that's as good as it gets, by the way. And if you listen to my kids, I was born somewhere between the demise of the dinosaurs and the advent of the motor car. I guess I would describe myself as someone who wears a kind of number of hats. I am a pastor within the Free Methodist Church. I've recently trained to be a care worker in a local care home. I'm also a chaplain. I do 10 hours a week chaplaincy in this place, same place. And I'm also a professional musician. And it's kind of that hat, I think, that I just want to wear for the next 35 minutes, just talk about some stories, some stuff about my life, some stories from the Depression, and then play some music. But before I start, I was hoping that were you given pens and pencils when you came in? No, that's okay. Okay, grab a pen, grab some paper, because at the end of the evening, there's a bit of a prize for the person who guesses all the pieces I'm about to play. Now, don't worry, it's not going to be kind of Shostakovich and Beethoven and stuff. All you need to guess is the name of the piece, okay? They're all television programs, they're all TV themes, they're all film music. You just need to work out what the name of the piece is, all right? And at the end of it, the person that gets the most right, there is a prize. Okay, and it's not my violin. Okay, so here's the first piece, guys, okay? If I can find it. Here we go. All right, let's try again. Good, I'm glad I could hear some of you singing. Great. Okay, let me test the cultural temperature of the room this year. How many people in here have heard of a guy called Arthur Rubinstein? Okay, he was a Polish-American classical pianist, regarded as the greatest interpreter of Chopin, hailed by the New York Times as the best pianist of the 20th century. Now, Arthur used to live in Paris, and he lived in the same block as a guy called Michael Rubinstein. So occasionally, the letters would go to the wrong addresses, yeah? One evening, Michael came over and said, look, Arthur, here's a bunch of letters. He gave them the letters, and then he said, please come and tell my wife that Ilse of Vienna and Michel of Budapest are your friends and not mine. So Arthur went to his drawer, grabbed a bunch of letters, and said, yeah, I'll help you, but you help me. Will you tell my wife that the 5 million lira in the Bank of Rome and the 2 million pounds in the Bank of England are yours and not mine? Oh, a bit more music. Let's do some more music. Okay, so I hope you're making a note of what these pieces are, because there is a prize at the end of all this. I love the story of the Rubinstein because it got me thinking about names. I wonder, do you ever wonder why your parents called you what they called you? So my name is Mansell, which is a bit of a kind of weird name, don't you think? And my brother's called Quentin. And I've often wondered what my parents were on when they called us. You know, Mansell and Quentin. In fact, we had some friends who could never remember what we were called. So one would call me Mantin, and he'd call my brother Quentsel, because he would forget. One of the ways that I used to help people remember my name was I'd say, my name's Mansell, and then I'd say, remember Nigel. Who heard of Nigel Mansell? Yeah. But that created more problems. So I met my wife, wife-to-be, Tracy. And as good Christians, we would go along for marriage prep classes. And twice, the minister, I'm not going to say who it was, it might be a bit embarrassing, referred to me as Nigel. So you can imagine my wife, she's having a little bit of a nightmare here. She imagines this lovely day, walking down the aisle, and then we get to the altar, the bit at the front, and the minister says to me, do you, Nigel Mansell, take Tracy Morgan? So, yeah, she was a bit concerned that she was going to marry Nigel rather than Mansell. And then there was the other thing. When Nigel Mansell was in his ascendancy, some of you will know I worked for the BBC Philharmonic Orchestra. I play the violin, professional musician. And I used to get a lot of newspaper clippings stuck in my music during concerts about Nigel Mansell. And so my locker used to be covered with clippings about Nigel Mansell, because it was always, Mansell this, Mansell that, Mansell world champion. The best one I ever got was this: Mansell refuses to play second fiddle. Okay, let's have some more music. You might recognize this. Let's see if you do. So, as I said, I have three boys. Two of them recently went through options. You have children that have to go through their options? Yeah. Both my youngest sons came up to me one evening and said, Dad, I have no idea what I want to do when I grow up. And actually, the opposite was true for me. I knew from a very young age what I wanted to do. From the age of 12, I knew that I wanted to be a musician. And I think the seeds were sown when I went to a concert given by an orchestra called the Bournemouth Symphony Orchestra. And I remember sitting there. I was sat in the front row. There was no one else there with me. And I sat through this concert, and I went home, and I said to my dad, Dad, when I grow up, all I want to do is be on the back desk of the second violins. Because I was just so taken with what I'd heard. That's all I ever wanted to do. And so that kind of began then a progression of violin lessons and exams and auditions. I ended up then going to Manchester, to the music college there, the Royal Northern College of Music, and I spent six years there. Now, I guess there's a number of stories I could tell, and time is short, so I'm going to keep it to one. Here's the context, despite what you see. I was a very shy young man, very, very shy. Couldn't communicate with people, was very inward, locked in. It was in my third year at college, beginning to kind of trying to come out of this shell, and the Duchess of Kent came to our college. It was Christmas, and we had this college ball, and we had the meal, and after the meal, tables were set apart, and there was this dance organized. And the Duchess of Kent had a pre-organized dance with the head of the Students' Union. That dance had finished, and I was just, kind of, you know how you are when you're students, you're kind of showing off. I said to a couple of people around me, wouldn't it be great to dance with the Duchess of Kent? And so they were kind of egging me on, well, go on, ask her. I mean, shy, kind of retired. So anyway, I went up. Why? Went up to her and I said, Mom, would you like to dance? And to my horror, she said yes. So then what do you do with royalty? Where do you put your hands? What's the protocol for dancing? So the music started up, and we walk onto the dance floor. I haven't got a clue what to say. The music's loud. We're trying to have this conversation. I haven't got a clue what she's saying. I don't think she can hear what I'm saying. I'm getting hotter and hotter under the collar. I've got two left feet. The music seems to go on for an eternity. Eventually, it stops. And I'm so relieved it stopped, I walk off and leave her standing in the middle of the dance floor. Yeah, my dad was horrified, because aren't you supposed to walk them back to... Yeah. So that was just one of those occasions at college, a very memorable occasion. After college, I took a year out and then did some auditions, and eventually got a job with the BBC Philharmonic, and I've been there on and off for the last 35 plus years. Okay, some more music. Number 4. Let me give you a bit of context to this. I was chatting with someone earlier on. I'm not going to say too much, but I was in a Ukraine airport, and I was unable to get through because I had my violin with me. And they just point blank refused to let me go through. And there was this great impasse. So the people I was with, it was like a missions team, they were on the other side of the fence, if you like, and I was on this side. Couldn't get through. So I thought, what do we do here? So in the end, I got my violin out, and this is the piece that I played, and it kind of broke the ice a bit, and eventually they let me through. Certainly got the Ukrainian guards stirred. Anyone that played that one? How many of you are familiar with the Young Musician of the Year competition? You know, it kind of happens every year, BBC kind of thing. In those days, they used to kind of rotate it around the BBC orchestra. So this year, it was our turn. And what normally happens is in the afternoon of the final, we have to turn up in our bib and tuck for the cameras because they need to get their lighting sorted out. But a friend of mine, and Andy, we decided that in the second half of the rehearsal, we do things a bit differently because the cameras would be finished by that point. And so earlier that week, we went to town and we got some Hawaiian shorts, some Hawaiian shirts, and some dark glasses. Did the first half of the rehearsal. Second half, we came in our Hawaiian shorts, Hawaiian t-shirts, and glasses, while everyone else was in their bib and tuck. So it was quite a sight. 15 years later, Andy was out on a holiday with his mates, and he died. He dropped dead in this mountain trip he was on. I think he had an embolism. And it was just a shock to the whole orchestra, because actually as an orchestra, you're a bit of a family. If you could understand that, you spend a lot of time together, you rehearse together, you go on tour together, and then the early years of touring, we would share rooms. So we were kind of a very close-knit community. And I think it's times like this when you begin to evaluate or reevaluate what's important in life. It was kind of quite a shock to many people. And I remember there was a comic, Peanuts comic strip. Do you know the ones I mean? And there's this conversation taking place between Charlie Brown and Lucy. And Lucy says that life is like a deck chair. Some like to put it where they can see where they've been. Some like to put it so they can see where they're going. And some like to put it so they can see where they are. Charlie Brown says, I don't know, even now you put them up. And I thought it was kind of, when I thought about it, it was quite funny because, you know, you have that picture in your mind of the old deck chair and falling apart and people falling flat. But actually, I think there's something about that in life. That sometimes life just does not make sense. Do you know, as much as we like to think that we are in control, that we decide when we're going to get married, we decide what job we're going to get, we decide where we're going to live. Do you know what? Things happen that just throw that in the air, don't they? I think things happen that we have to say, I simply don't understand. Like the deck chair, I don't get it. Let's have some more music. After this, we'll have an interval. Apparently, there's tea and coffee on this side. No, there is. There's tea and coffee on this side. And there's a ton of cakes at the back. Yep, a ton of cakes. So you're allowed to have 2 pieces each, 3 pieces. No, is that right? Yep. Lots of cake, all right? There's a Marie Antoinette thing. Give them cake. Very good. It's a cello.
thank you very much. And there's no truth in the rumour that I was the minister who called Nigel Mansell. I used to get through a whole marriage prep session thinking, I didn't do it. And I'd say, let's pray together. And I'd say, Lord, please bless Mansell and Tracy. And we asked that Nigel were... lost it. So you're welcome to have tea, coffee, cake. There are, I think, 9 burgers going. First come, first served. So enjoy, have a break.
You make us strong. The silent mouth will fill with songs. This hope you give will find Come show your glory. Come show your face. Come light a fire in us. Breathe on this place. Your love pursues us, tears down our walls. You make the towers of our fear to fall. Spirit, come, Spirit of the living one, come move us again, come shine on us. Spirit, come, we surrender to your touch, come move us again, come shine your light on us. Shine your light on us. Come show your glory. Come show your face. Come light a fire in us. Breathe on this place. Your love pursues us, tears down our walls. You make the towers of our fear to fall. Spirit, come, Spirit of the living one, come move us again, come shine on us. Spirit, come, we surrender to your touch, come move us again, come shine your light on us. Shine your light on Let the light of your glory shine on us. Let the light of your glory shine on us. Let the light of your glory shine on us. Let the light of your glory shine on us.
That'd be great. Thank you. So Mansell's going to come back and play to us, and then after Mansell, Greg's going to bring a short message for us and share with us. But can I just say, you are more than welcome to join us tomorrow. Tomorrow morning we have a special service where two churches are coming together to share together, New Life and Hope Church, and we're going to celebrate Resurrection Sunday, Easter Day together, which will be great. And then tomorrow evening, you're welcome back. We've got a very special story from one of our own, Ken Woodburn. That's 7:30. Welcome back for that. But also, we have surprise baptisms tomorrow night, so come for that as well. And then we will welcome you back then. But for now, it's my pleasure to welcome back Nigel Mansell.
So how's the quiz going? Are we getting there? Is it too easy? Yeah, that might be. Okay, here's a question. You listening up? What do a horse, a sheep, and a tree have in common? It went quiet. Oh, another question then. What am I? Variously shaped pieces of tree stuck together with boiled horse, strung with sheep's innards. Wow. The man. Okay. Let me read you a poem written by Richard Stilgoe. Who said of Richard Stilgoe? Bit of a poet. Here we go. A sycamore tree cannot mimic the lark. A sycamore tree's unaccompanied bark is silent until the tree is felled. Seasoned and shaped and then lovingly held beneath a Korean or Hungarian chin, for sycamore is what makes a great violin. A sheep cannot sing. The song of a sheep would shatter a goblet, rouse you from sleep. But the guts of a sheep, when the sheep's passed away, can be twisted and tightened and tuned to an A. So what started off filling up a sheep's middle, ends up as strings on the sycamore fiddle. Now, a horse cannot sing you a musical scale, but if you sneak up and shorten his tail, the hairs, when attached to a suitable rod, play the sheep's guts like the sound of a god. The rest of the horse, if it's under the weather, can be boiled up to glue the whole thing together. So if you should pass by a meadow or lea, where the sheep grazes next to a sycamore tree, and yonder a horse gallops, tail in the air, you will know the real meaning of what lies there. You can say to the kids, with a wave of your arm, what you see over there is a violin farm. The guy was right. I am, of course, a violin. Let's have some more sheep's guts and horse's tail music. Okay. That's the prize, by the way, if you get them all right. So a little demonstration. Now, I have in this bag various bits of violin. Okay, so this is the hair that makes the bow. This is the kind of wood that makes the violin. That's the bit of wood that would shape the very front of the violin, the kind of what we call the scroll. Okay, there's more bits of wood that will make a violin. More hair for the bow. That bit's for the side of the violin, a rib. And then we've got more hair. More hair. I've got tailpiece, more hair, a bridge, and a peg. So here's what we're going to do. My plan is to shake this bag and from it produce a violin. Yeah? Is that all right? I'm going to shake this bag and I'm going to take out of it, when I've shaken this bag, a violin. Okay, how many of you believe I could do that? You seriously? Okay, you believe that when I shake this bag, a violin will come out. Okay, let's try, shall we? You up for this? Yeah? Let's give it a shake. It's kind of coming together a bit, do you think? Yeah. That's amazing. Because it didn't work, did it? I was talking with my brother the other day. So we have completely contrasting worldviews, and I imagine that within this room there'll be those who have completely different worldview and understanding of the world from me. So he's a scientist, so he's on the kind of agnostic, atheistic side. I come from a more Christian worldview, and I just asked him the question. Here was my question: Is it reasonable to believe that there is a creator God? And he said to me, this is my atheist, agnostic brother, he said, yes, it's reasonable. You see, what I have learnt over the years is that faith in God is not a kind of leap into the darkness and not a leap into the unknown. That actually, faith in God is a perfectly reasonable thing to believe in. In fact, some of the greatest, so we often have this debate, don't we? Science on one side and religion on the other. But actually, some of the greatest scientists in the world have been believers in God. So Galileo, Kepler, who famously said that he thought God's, what did he say? He said, thinking God's thoughts after him. Pascal, Boyle, Newton, Faraday, and more recently, Francis Collins, who headed up the Human Genome Project that mapped the entire genetic material of a human being. All of these people believed in God. So taking a step of faith isn't about, leaving your head behind and your brain behind. It's perfectly reasonable. And I'll come back to that's why I did the violin demonstration. I'll come back to that, but look, like most of people in my generation, I was brought up to go to church. Okay, that's just how it was for me. My brother and I, we went to a local church. But I never quite got it. If I'm honest, I never quite got what it was about. So we would do the Sunday thing, we would do the occasional Easter thing, we would do the Christmas thing, but actually, in terms of how it affected our everyday lives, it didn't. It was just this thing we were doing on Sunday. So I didn't kind of get what it was about. When I was 15, I had this probably what we would call fairly, you might call him a bit eccentric. He's a lovely guy, but a little bit eccentric. He used to bring his newspaper to school at 15. Anyway, he invited me to his youth club. Now, I come from North Devon, live by the coast, so youth clubs down in Devon are pretty good, okay? So, our youth club would be, let's go to the beach, and let's do some bodyboarding, let's do some games on the sands. when the weather was good, of course. And then, the usual stuff. We'd go back to the place where it was taking place, and we'd play snooker and pool and do stuff like that. But then at the end of the evening, we'd have what was, I guess, what would be called the God slot. Okay? Now, so what they did in this God slot was they would sing songs, not hymns, but songs, kind of Christian songs, but so I'd never sung in my life in church, so that was a bit strange to me. And then the friends around me that I kind of became friends, they would suddenly spontaneously pray. They wouldn't read them, they would just suddenly speak prayers. Well, that was new to me as well. And then the guy at the front, the minister guy, he would get his Bible out and do some Bible teaching. Well, I've never really sat under that kind of stuff either. So all this stuff was pretty foreign to me. But actually, what I grew to like about it was that there was something very genuine about what was going on. That actually, for these young people, this wasn't just a Sunday thing. This was something they did on Thursday, something they did on Tuesday, something they did the rest of the time. I ended up one summer, I think I was 18, and there was a visiting speaker, and he just, at the end of his talk, he just said to me, "Is anyone here want to become a believer, want to follow Jesus?" And I thought, look, if following Jesus means I get what they've got, then I'm up for it. If following Jesus meant that I got what they got, I was up for it. And so that's what happened. When I was 18, I became a follower of Jesus, and kind of that's what I am today. I'm just a follower of Jesus, okay? And it's a path that ultimately led me to meet my wife, Tracy, and to have 3 children. Let me just tell you this little story. We called our first son Samuel. And let me tell you why. Listen up, this is really, really, you may have heard this kind of story before. We tried for kids for years, okay? We tried for kids for years, nothing was happening. My wife went to doctors and she was given 3 reasons why we couldn't have children. So we did 2 things. We considered adopting, and we also went to our church and said, look, could you pray for us? We went one Easter to, it's called an Easter convention. It's kind of just a Christian gathering around Easter. At the end of this particular meeting, a guy called David Carr invited us, those who wanted to go forward for prayer to come forward. So Tracy and I went out, and he put his hand on Tracy's head, and he just said, he just felt he heard from the Lord, "You will increase. You will increase." Now, we thought he was talking about the church we were pastoring at that time, that God was going to kind of bring new people in. He said to her, "You will increase." A year later, to the day, my wife's waters broke, and we gave birth to our first son. And now we have 3. A bit like waiting for a bus, isn't it? You wait for one for ages, and then all 3 come along at the same time. So the name Samuel means God heard. Hebrew word meaning to hear, shomer. God heard. And we just felt, there may be those in here who think, well, that's just, accident, or it just happened, whatever. We believe that actually God heard our prayers, and now we have 3 lovely boys, very challenging boys, growing boys, 3 teenagers, but we just believe they're a blessing from God. Okay, some more music. You're going to recognize this, particularly if you've got, I'll give you a clue, particularly if you've got children, you will know this at the back of your hand, probably. Good. Where are we up to? Okay, a couple of observations about the violin. Okay, it was a violin's made, isn't it? Yeah, we all we all agree that it doesn't just happen, does it? My early demonstration shows that you can't just throw bits of wood in the air and expect to make a violin. So a creative hand carefully, skillfully, and lovingly put this instrument together. The second thing I would say is that only in the right hands can it be what it was created to be, something that brings pleasure and enjoyment, joy, satisfaction, amusement, and fun. And what I want to do is illustrate that with a volunteer this evening. But just bear in mind that this is £12,000, and this is £1,000, all right? So, yeah, I need a volunteer who's never played the violin before. Anybody? Okay, come here.
I actually have... No, I'm joking.
What's your name?
Dan.
Dan. So Dan is now going to give us a concert, okay? So he's going to demonstrate the violin for us and play something that gives joy and satisfaction and fun and amusement.
Why did I volunteer? Right. Goes like this, doesn't it? Oh, no. That was Let It Go. Right. Did I almost get it there?
Yeah, not bad. Okay. Give Dan a round of applause. Thanks, Dan. You're a star. You're a star. What I would want to argue is that the violin for me is very much a metaphor or a picture of my own life. Because the observations that I made about the violin actually apply to my own life. Firstly, like the violin, okay, a creative hand, a master craftsman, I would call him God, carefully, skillfully, and lovingly put me together. Okay, I don't believe that I magically or accidentally came together, and there are kind of huge implications we haven't got time for with that. So if I'm made, it means I've got purpose, it means I'm loved, it means I'm accepted, it means I've got, there's a whole pile of stuff there that we could go along with, but this is a concert, not a preach, so I'll carry on. Secondly, just recall Dan volunteering. For me, only in the right hands do I become the man I was meant to be. Now, I'll explain a little bit about that later on. And I just want to play something, but only in the right hands do I actually become the person that I was intended or created to be. So let's just have some music, a few more thoughts, and then we'll finish, and I'll hand over to Andrew. Okay. Sorry, you're faffing around with this music. And it should all be in one folder, shouldn't it? Be a whole pile easier. Again, if you've got children, you'll recognize this one, I suspect. Just kick the violin out of the way. Oh, gosh, I'm getting old. Okay. I'm knackered. I don't know about you guys. You remember the story that Andrew read at the very beginning, the story of the dusty and battered violin that was kind of regarded as worthless by those who looked on, until then it was in the hands of the master. 40 plus years ago, I was a very shy, a very retiring young man, very much locked in. And I think not unlike many people today, if we're honest with ourselves and stop pretending, do you know what? I of all people, I used to struggle greatly with insecurity. I used to struggle with fear of failure. I used to struggle with issues of worth, value, and acceptance. Never thought I was good enough. But my story today is this, that, I came alive when I kind of let, and it's a process, okay? There isn't this kind of, for me, there wasn't this Damascus Road experience, but actually, when I let go of the reins of my life, when I said to God, you come, you take over, I've not managed it, I made a mess of it, you come and take over the reins of my life, and it's been this journey of, that has brought freedom, that has brought an understanding that actually before, when all around, even when I'm not accepted, there is one who always accepts me. And there's one who always loves me. And the truth is, I still, to this day, struggle with insecurity. I still struggle with acceptance. But I think the truth is, today, I'm not a prisoner to those things. And I think that's the big thing, isn't it? It's not that these things, for me, have gone away. It's just that, by the grace of God, I am what I am, and I can do what I do. I can come across, I can stand up here, and I can seem very confident and very assured. But actually, the opposite is very true. I still battle with, I'll be going home tonight and thinking, I wonder how that went. I'll be having lots of questions in my mind on the way home in the car. Should have said this, should have said that, should have played this, should have played that, shouldn't have said that, shouldn't have said, you know how it is. But I'm no longer a prisoner to those things that in Christ I've been kind of set free from that stuff. And I think the other thing I would say is that an offshoot of that kind of inner change is actually being an uptight, tense person isn't great when you're playing the violin. Because every time I pick the violin up, it would just hurt. It would just hurt. I'd grab the violin, I'd grab the bow, everything was done out of tenseness. But actually, as I began to relax more as a person, my violin playing just took off. It really did. And I actually, I love doing this stuff. Not necessarily talking, but I just love playing this kind of stuff. It's easy, it's comfortable, it's enjoyable. And I think, I just love hearing people smile and laugh and sing. I was busking in Chester, so I come from Frodsham. I was out of a job and thought, well, I can make some money by busking. So I went to Chester, took my violin, and I remember one time playing this piece. I forget what it was, and these two ladies stopped. They put their handbags down, and they just started dancing in the street. And I just thought, that is just so great. If you can change someone's life with a bit of music, hey, that's got to be good. So let's have one more piece of music, and then we'll tick off all the ones that you got right. This is the breaker one, this one, because actually it's not a piece of film music. So this one kind of sorts out the men from the boys. Sorry, ladies, in inverted commas. Okay, let's go through them. Let's see what we got on. So the first one was? Bring Me Sunshine. Bring Me Sunshine. Yes. Yep. Morecambe and Wise. That dates me, doesn't it? The second one? Can You Feel the Love Tonight from The Lion King, Elton John. Third one? Edelweiss from The Sound of Music. Saw that as a kid. Felt I missed out because my brother saw 2001 Space Odyssey. The fourth one? If I Were a Rich Man. Yep, from The Fit on the Roof. Fifth one? You have to have the composer. Tackle Bell's Canon, yep. Okay, number 6. The Bare Necessities from The Jungle Book. Yep, very good. Number 7. Yeah, it's theme from Schindler's List. What an extraordinary piece. Extraordinary film, actually. Number 8. Yeah. I heard some of you singing. Great stuff. Number 9. You've Got a Friend in Me from Toy Story. Yep. Okay, number 10. Okay, Four Seasons. Four Seasons. Vivaldi. Do you know which movement it was? Sorry? Winter. If you put winter and you put Vivaldi and you put the seasons, you can have a whole mark for that. Only half a mark if you didn't get. Yep. Now then, has anybody got all 10 right? 9. Anybody got 10? 9. Just the what? Greg? Okay. Just you? Yes, okay, come. Round of applause. There we go. You what? Okay, listen, let's. I'm going to bring this to a close. Just before I hand back to Andrew, just one final thought, then I'll hand over to Andrew or Greg. I don't know how each of you see yourselves, but I think if it is true, okay, that God made us, and that only in His hands can we be what we are truly created to be, then actually I think that demands a response. Whether you're a believer in God or not, I think that demands a response. And I'll leave it there. Thanks, Andrew.
Great. Is that on now? Oh, yeah, it is. Perfect. Great. Well, thank you so much. And on behalf of everyone, thank you so much, Nigel, for a wonderful evening of story, repartee, music, and sharing something of your life story as well. And by the way, Nigel Mansell, why did he drive his car into a church? He one day apparently just drove straight, brought it in right to the front of the church. You know why he did that? He wanted to take his car in for a service. But yeah, they don't get any better than that. But no, seriously, thanks Mansell so much for sharing with us tonight. It's been absolutely amazing. And all these things as an ordained minister and a chaplain as well, and a musician. All the different things he's done. You really have got more than one string to your bow, and he's the real deal. I met a violinist once who was a con man. He claimed he could play and he couldn't. He was on the fiddle. And actually, do you know it was the violin you were playing, wasn't it? Not the viola. Yeah, of course it was. I don't know whether you know the difference between the violin and the viola. You know, in terms of the difference of size. Well, actually, there's practically no difference, but the violin just appears to be smaller in comparison to the big head of the owner. That's a bit of a violinist joke, isn't it? Because violinists think they're superior to viola players. They do. Thank you for helping me out. Thank you for helping me out with that one. Anyway, just in conclusion, wrapping up, one of the things amazing with our friend's story was how he came to faith. You know, he talked about growing up in a church. You know, he went to church, but it wasn't until at 18, he met a group of dynamic Christians. He came to a true and living faith. And that's an important point, because it's not about denominations. You know, there's a lot of denominations out there. Do we all enjoy the Frozen theme song that he was playing? That was absolutely amazing. I love that, don't you? Let it go, can't hold back anymore. Who likes the Frozen theme tune? I've got a daughter, I don't know whether you know, but the Frozen theme tune, it has all kinds of denominational references in it, in terms of to Christian denominations. I don't know whether you know that, but the bit that goes, don't let them in, don't let them see, that's exclusive brethren. The be the good girl you've always wanted, be the good girl you always want, you have to be, yeah, Catholic, that's Catholic, yeah. Then there's a bit, conceal, don't feel, don't let them know, it's Baptist. I don't care what they're going to say, that's Independent Charismatic House Church. It's time to see what I can do, test the limits, breakthrough, Pentecostal. That is no right, no wrong, no rules for me, it's liberal. And the coal never bothered me anyway. Church of England, my denomination. Anyway, these things, they don't matter. What matters is if you know Jesus Christ. That's the key. And just as we were hearing tonight from Mansell, the world's a confusing place, isn't it? One of the things that he was sharing in his own story about the deck chair illustration. Sometimes he said, life doesn't make sense. And that's true, life doesn't make sense. But actually, God makes sense of life. Knowing God doesn't promise us deliverance from trouble, but deliverance in trouble. Sometimes God frees us from trouble. Sometimes that happens. Praise God when that happens. But it's not necessarily deliverance from trouble, but we do have deliverance in the midst of trouble. So it's wonderful to hear that. And his own story, Mansell's own story of how he came through to a true and living faith in Christ. And it's about friendship with God, ultimately. That's what it is. That final one, it was, you've got a friend in me. Who was that? That Randy someone, wasn't it? Yeah. Randy, not Randy Clark, he's a healing revivalist, but somebody else called Randy anyway. Unfortunate name is in America. When you go to America and they say, hey, I'm Randy, you get very confusing. Anyway, but basically, you've got a friend. It's almost as if God says that to us. You've got a friend in me. You've got a friend in me. You've got troubles, but there's nothing I wouldn't do for you. We could stick together, see it through, because you've got a friend in me. Jesus is the friend of sinners. He's the friend that sticks closer to a brother, and it's knowing him that is the most important thing. So I'm going to wrap up just by saying a prayer for anyone who might want to become a Christian. We've done this every night. Anyone who might want to become a Christian tonight, I say it's not about religion, it's about relationship with Jesus. It's about not about denominations. It's about being a follower of Jesus regardless of the label. And you might have sensed something in tonight as you come into this church building. Someone said that today. Someone who prayed, I think, to receive the Lord. They said, I just sensed something in this building, they said. You might have felt the love tonight, to quote Elton John, as you came in tonight. So here's the prayer. If you want to give your life to Jesus Christ, here's the prayer. I've composed it especially for tonight. Father, I can feel the love tonight. My sin, I choose to let it go. Thank you, Jesus, that I have a friend in you. Simple as that. We don't have to be religious about this, do we? So here's the prayer. And if you want to give your life to Jesus, just pray this prayer. Echo it in the quietness of your own heart. So, Father, I can feel the love tonight. Lord, my sin, the stuff I've done wrong, said wrong, thought wrong, I turn from it. I choose to let it go. Thank you, Jesus, that I have a friend in you. Amen. Simple as that. There's a feedback form here. This is the last of our kind of sort of evening meetings. We've got another one tonight, actually, two. One in the morning, one in the evening. But we've got this feedback form that you can fill in, and there's different boxes that you can tick. And one of them is if you prayed that prayer tonight, count me in. I want to follow Jesus. Just tick that box. Give us your details in. Someone from one of the churches will get in touch with you to help you how you can grow further in this newfound friendship with Jesus Christ. But that's for us. That's enough for tonight. Let's finish by showing our appreciation one more time for Mansell Morgan. Thank you. And thanks, everyone, for coming.